All right. Right then. Right then. So we won't be on test asset loaders branch because still working on that. Trying to figure out a way to load the assets during testing without bringing everything to a grinding halt. Should be fun. But in the meantime, let's look at how many PRs we have here. We got 398. Still under 400. Sort by oldest. Still don't know what to do with this one. From type specialization. There was one of these that I wasn't sure, and I asked someone, and then I've forgotten what I did with the question. Import from rolled. Hasn't been worked on or mentioned since 2022, so it's a probable close. What are we actually doing? When creating a type data struct, it is often desirable to implement from type as broadly as possible. There are occasions when knowledge of the specific type which is being operated on can produce a more effective reflect component. I'm just going to do a quick search in the Discord for this PR's URL just to make sure that I haven't already asked a question about it, because I think I have. Nope. What about just the number? 6055. The only mention is when it was opened back in 2022. Okay. So no help there. Handle is required to be default in this from worlds because we want to be able to use it in bundles, which are going away. Yeah, I've had this sitting in my queue for too long. I think, is there any general approval of this or disapproval of this? Mr. GVSV has got a lot of experience with this stuff. Now possible to specialize blanket from type implementations by implementing specialized from type. Um, yeah, this is way over my head. But it is 2 years old in a very specialized kind of area. Hey, Cassie Coates, how you doing? Back and forth several times on this one, but it's a bit over my head. Pinging Mr. GVSV. Leaning close due to inactivity, but what am I working on today? I'm doing a little bit of open source work to begin with. So tidying up some PRs, some old PRs in the Bevy repo. And then I'm going to do some very basic 3D game development, trying to learn. I'm supposed to be working on a jam, but it's kind of fallen by the wayside at the moment. This one. But there's only 8 days to go. You'd think I'd be able to come up with something, right? It was supposed to run for 23 days. And it did. Oh, well. Okay. Yeah, ping Miss GVSV in case I've missed something important. Seems like an interesting idea, but not sure how easy it would be to adopt 2 years later. Okay. So we'll go back. Just trying to get a few more of these cleaned up. Be nice to get down below 390. A default feature for pinning task pool threads to CPU cores. Again, this is something I didn't really know what to do with. Just check to make sure that I haven't 6471. Make sure I haven't already asked the question in Discord because I missed a few of these answers. No, nothing since 2022. It's been a while. It's been a little while. It's been a wee while. So this is looking at use core affinity to forcibly pin OS threads to specific CPU cores via CPU pinning. Best merged after 4740 is completed. 4740 was another James PR fixing 1907. And I assume it was a long discussion. It got closed. Given that, best merged after 4740 is completed. So let's say backlog cleanup. The discussion. This mentions 4740, which was closed without merging. As best merged first. Given that and inactivity since December 2022, suspect it's reasonable to close this one too. Okay. Sort by oldest. Proof of concept. Add support for async coroutine systems. November 2022. Controversial? I'll just check again to make sure I haven't already searched on it. 6641. Check in the Discord. Nope, nothing since then. Implements a proof of concept for coroutine systems defined using async. Yeah. So backlog cleanup. I think if still labeled controversial and no movement since 2022, it's reasonable to close this one. From type specialization, that's the one I've already looked at. Opt out change detection. Oh, yeah. This one, I remember this, and I still didn't know what to do with it. It's had a lot of discussion. 6659, we'll check the Discord. I swear I asked about this. A lot of discussion back in 2022. And 2023. And 2024. So if we go to the latter discussion, we're still in 2022. 2022. Make change detection 100% runtime configuration. So this is something I've heard people talking about. As being a requirement for other things to implement. I need to ask about this in the Discord. I actually don't know what to make of it. It feels like maybe a tracking issue, but yeah, I feel like I need advice from people. Let's go with engine dev. And we will move that over here. Okay. Opt out change detection. I've heard this discussed in various places. But I don't think I'm fully aware of the context implications, at least enough to. We have the PR from 2 years ago, which has been touched often, or touched, referred to often. I'm not sure if this is a close and is there an issue? I don't think there is an issue. Close and move to a tracking issue for further design work or planning, or leave the PR alone. It's still useful. Okay. We'll let the experts decide on that one. Okay. So we'll get some help on that. UI image rotation. I think this one is not likely to be all that helpful because we've got a lot of new UI work going on. We've got 2 approvals, which is a shame. Has it got a tracking issue? Because if it does, that would be awesome. Don't think it does. So much work went into it. It seems such a shame. But if you worry about that, then you'd always be keeping everything open. Not convinced by Francois. Um, (9341). That got approved. Did it get merged? No. Damn it. Thought that was my savior. Better to leave until after the UI text section changes are merged and the texture slicing bugs are fixed. This was on August 24. This PR was written before texture slicing was implemented. So the OP has been back to it really recently, but it's September now, almost October. Wait, is it October? It's October, right? Yeah, it's October. Wow, that's pretty bad. So it's got the blocked label since August 24. I haven't closed this PR. It's better to have nothing at all than it is much, much simpler than 9341. Okay, let's go with this. Recently to this PR, but it's considered blocked based on the text revamp. I think I'm inclined to close it. I mean, how hard would it be? What are we talking about? 6 files. Some of which doesn't make any difference. Bevy UI. Given we have this and 9341. Do you want me to close this out and perhaps create an issue to track the overall problem discussion, or do you still intend to I want to say reincarnate, resurrect this one? Okay. Still waiting on author, and it's controversial. Okay. Not closing as many as I was. See if we can tick a few more down. Extensible view bind groups, reusable binding definitions. Oh, there's a lot of merging branch suggesting it's been waiting around for a while. This requires a lot of systems. Allow users or plugins to extend core pipeline group O view bind groups. User-defined pipelines with custom bind groups. Files change 76. Holy crap. That's going to be a nightmare to update. They're mostly WGSL files. Just check to see whether I've asked any questions about it lately. 6738. It's been mentioned in 2024. Back in 2023, I need to find time to bring that up to date. It's a year old, and the draft includes all the Naga oil changes as well. This is last touched. It's been marked as draft last year. 2 years ago was the last time it was hit. I guess just ask them the question again. Hard keeping 76 files up to date. Should this be closed at least for now? Or do you still intend to try to get it merged? Okay. I'm mostly asking people questions at the moment, not actually taking any action. All right. Add Tokyo as an optional Bevy tasks backend. Yeah, I saw this. Initially avoided as it doesn't support all the target systems that Bevy aims to support, like WASM. Add an optional feature for Tokyo. I mean, I kind of like it, but WASM's so important. I mean, still at a work in progress. Nice idea, but still whip since 2022. So probably safe to close for now. At me if I'm wrong. Okay, there's another one. Allow reflect, skip serializing on enum variant fields. Have I asked a question about 6767? It's been discussion in 23. When was it open? 22. Mostly just Mr. GVSV asking for feedback. 2 minor readability comments. It's ironic. Two commits added last year. Got force push last year. Fixes 6721. Okay, well, given that that's a tracking issue, backlog cleanup, closing due to inactivity, tracking issue. Oh god, Alice is saying we need a tracking issue for opt-out change detection, so I'll do that. Okay, backlog cleanup, closing due to inactivity. Noting existing tracking issue 6. Wish I could remember issue numbers. 6721. 6721. Okay. Okay. I'm going to say that the tracking issue for, oh, I don't want that search. I want this search. Change detection. The text, no. Change detection logic bug, no. Maybe opt out. Or optional change detection, maybe. Here we go. 4882. Oh, no, hang on. So oldest. Backlog cleanup. Obviously still needed, but Actually, hang on. Wait, what? What? That's 9341. Ah, better. Yeah, we'll use that now. Actually, maybe I'll just screenshot that. No, we didn't. Seems like more design required. Checked in with Discord. And we'll link to my question. Here. For context. Note existing tracking issue 4882. Possibly others. Okay. So where do we go from there? We go to pull requests. We're at 394. I've asked about that one. And that one. And I think that one. From reflect to return results. Ah, we got some discussion. Oh, then thinking about picking it up. That's good. Okay. This one looks like this is a future, so leaving it be. Oh, almost closed it. Okay. Now, System meta field accessors. Safety comments should give a good indication on how to use them safely. Makes sense. Needs links and warnings, needs links. Should be all cons. Wildly unsafe. Should exist for advanced users. Please make the spans public too. C5497. This is an issue? Yeah. All right, so let's go. Wait, when was the last time they touched it? Last year. Okay. So let's label. It's got the complex label. ECS usability complex. And we'll add adopt me. And that issue is 5497. Closing due to inactivity. Note existing tracking issue. $sign 5497. Oh, push some changes in 7119. Okay. Potential adopters can find context and now closed PR. What did I say? 7119. Okay. How are we going? How are we going? 393 still. Use sparse array to back resources. Man, James has all these good ideas. Speed up fetching resources. Replace the sparse set backing resources with a sparse array instead. Waste 104 bytes of memory. Column has been replaced with blob box. Holy shit. Looks like it needs benchmarking, maybe? Tested against some of more render intensive, noted no improvement. Might just revert the use of sparse array and keep the blob box changes. But that was January last year. Maybe tracking issue. Almost every entity draw function requires fetching one or more resources. This could be slightly faster. Backlog, cleanup. It seems informal benchmarking demonstrated little improvement. Why is that a spelling error? What did I do? Oh, jeez. Duh. In which case, closing. Can I create an issue for the blog box changes if still relevant in 2024? There's no further activity. All right. See if we can get one more. Boop-a-doo. Available system params. Controversial. Uncontroversial. Yeah, still needs work. This is in March of 23. Lots of discussion. Is there still a general desire for this to be runtime configurable? Ah, yeah, that was the. It's all good. Who needs a shout out at the moment? Somebody must need a shout out. Oh, I'm sorry I missed YouTube commenters. I don't know if you're still there, but I am reviewing Bevy PRs, old ones that need to be closed probably. I need a little alert that goes off when I get a YouTube comment. Hey, Finn gets a shout out. Nice. Finn's doing a 12-hour marathon, I think, at the moment. I'll spin up another PR with those changes. I'll leave this one up just in case it turns out to have unexpected issues. Hey, Fanny. How you doing? Were you sitting in Finn's stream? Hello. Oh, he was lurking Finn all day. Nice. Which PR did you spin up, though? This one, maybe? Oh, that is not the right page. Compare this to 7162. So did they get this one in? It does seem like this is the preferred option. Okay. So backlog cleanup, closing in favor due to inactivity, and in favor of its successor. 8196. And I think that is the last PR I'm going to do because that was enough for one day. Did we get to 390? We didn't. We're still at 391, but that's okay. Okay, what's in here? Anybody replying to me that I need to know about? UI image rotation? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, cool. So not blocked anymore. And yeah, they merged the text revamp. You're right. Cohesive design on what to do here would be good though. Okay, cool. Sure. Oh, the dogs are covered in clay. They're going to get bathed. Excellent. Okay, those are done. And we get to do some actual game dev. All right. All caught up. We're caught up. I like it. Must be just about time for an air break, in which case it's almost time for a cup of tea. By the way, don't forget your cup of tea. All right, so where are we up to? Spooky Jam has 8 days to go. In theory, I could still do something, but let's just consider it a learning experience like normal. So for that matter, what's it called? Strange shapes. What stage is it at? We've got a loading screen. And we can play, and we've got a cube that can move around. It's a moving cube. We can change our camera field of view. Okay, probably too far actually. We shouldn't be able to do that, for example. We should lock it about there. And I think one useful advance. What a friendly looking cube. I know, right? It's a beautiful gray cube. It's so happy. It's a happy little cube. I think one thing we could do would be to make the point light follow it around so that it doesn't do that. So we might try that just for the hell of it. It's kind of an isometric 3D. Okay. So let's close that. We don't need that anymore. Let's look at our message, which I've transferred into my org room now. Okay, so we've done our open source contributions. Whoa, that was not what I meant to do. Ah, but it's done. Man, I wonder why it closes it when you do that. Okay. So now, 3D game dev. Spooky Jam. Okay. And it must be almost cup of tea time. Put the kettle on in a minute. Now, let's switch to strange shapes. Are we in a building state? Do we currently build? Do we build? Can we build? Can we perhaps build in some way building? We're building a little bit. We're some of the way built. Trey, the CN guy, is hiring voice actors. It's good to know. Over on YouTube, if anybody needs a voice acting job, talk to Trey. Oh, it's a slow build. I must have done a cargo clean at some point. Ted's getting told off. He's not behaving himself. They both dug a huge hole in the clay bank. Come on, build. You can do it. Oh no. There's water everywhere. It's very, very bad. He's being such a brat. Hey, we got a running game. That's exciting. It's in the credits, by the way. A bunch of rubbish. Okay, so we got an unnecessary output, so that's something we need to pay attention to. And we got the moving cube. All right, so yeah, we should, when we move the camera around to follow, is that a little bit jagged? What's going on there? Move it up and then, that's weird. Like it stops. I think it's the camera following the player movement. It's just a little bit uneven. Weird. Wonder if I can do something about that. But first, let's see if we can move the point light around with it. And get rid of that output. Okay, so controller intent. So movement RS44. Let's get rid of that. And then why is it complaining? It's probably because Rust Analyzer hasn't caught up yet. It is included in crates. You just don't know it yet. I'll wait while you catch up. If you're intentionally working on unowned files, you can silence this warning. Okay. Hey, it's caught up. All right. Now, in camera, do we define the point light in camera? Yes, we do. So its transform starts there. Hi, puppy. Yeah, I can open the window. Yeah, so it starts there, but we may end up putting it right on the player. I don't know. So at the moment, it's offset by 5 and 5 from the player, so it's always in the same direction. All right, we are going to run ads, so I'm going to boil the kettle and switch to puppy cam for a sec. And I remind you to make your own cup of tea. It's important. Okay. The dogs have both been bathed. They should, in theory, be clean. Theory is a very different beast of practice. Okay. Cup of tea equipped. Now then, it's movement in camera. Now, camera has a thing that updates its transform. I think we need to do the same thing with player, with the point light. So we have query transform with camera. Query mute transform with, is it point light or just light? I feel like it's point light. That's probably going to need a without. Which makes you wonder if you could just use like an option camera, option point light, option player, basically. Does sort of, yeah. But you can't, you have to exclude every other transform that's in the system, right? Hmm. Oh, Tid. Tid doesn't want to be shut in the office. Yeah, interesting. Because this might even need to be without camera, without player, right? Let's see if it crashes. It's always the acid test, right? Okay. Oh, wet puppy. Transform. If player transform, target is player transform translation. And then we also want to query the point light. If let, okay. Point light, transform. Did I call it point underscore light? Oh, just light. Okay. Get single mute. Times camera settings, orbit distance. Okay, so for now, we could add its existing translation, maybe. Or we could just make it the same as the player, but I suspect that'll just put the light right inside it. Let's see what happens. So, oh, Ted. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. Point light transform. Translation equals target The other thing we could do is just make the point light a child of the player, or for that matter, a child of the camera. And then it would just move around with the camera, right? And you wouldn't have to keep updating it. Wouldn't it? I feel like it would. Let's find out. Cargo Road. Oh, yeah. It doesn't like those, the disambiguation for those queries. So it would have to be without player. And this one would have to be without point light. Which just it rubs me the wrong way. I don't like having to do all this. Okay, so now the light. Oh, as soon as we stop moving, the light does follow us around, but only only when we stop moving. Oh, that's not good. Okay. All right. Well, I get it. It's not great, but I get it. I think the point light's actually on the surface as opposed to the, but it goes out every time we move, which is not what we want. Whoa, I didn't know we could do that. Oh, shit. Oh, no, hang on. No, false alarm. I thought it was going up in the air. It's not. It's firmly attached to the ground. It just looks like it's. Hang on. No, it's just a trick of the light. It kind of looks like it's off the ground, but when you move it back, maybe it is. Confusing. Okay. Um, Hang on. I got to rescue my tea bag. There we go. Tea bag's very important. Rescue mission. Okay. Now, how do we see? It looks like it's up in the air. Is it possible that when we're moving it, we're actually, oh, maybe we're changing the cube position with our, does look a bit like it, doesn't it? Is it just because of the lack of the light? I think we are actually rotating the cube and not just the camera. You have to figure that one out. Was it doing it? Is it still doing it if I remove this change? It does look like the cube is rotating. Maybe it's that the camera changes perspective to the cube, but not the mesh. I don't know. This 3D stuff is hard. If it's this hard with just a cube and a plane. I don't know, eh? Okay, let's get the light fixed first and then we'll worry about the rest of it. All right, so what about the approach What about the approach of making the light a child of the camera? With children. Oh, wait, can I not do that to a... I think I have to do it to the camera bundle itself. No? To the call, to the spawn call with children. There we go. Okay, something like that. What effect would that have? Because the camera will have a global transform, and the transform of the child, I think, should be updated. Well, the light is very different. Is it even casting a shadow? I don't think it is. Is it beneath the... It might be beneath the... Yeah, I don't think that works. I don't think it works. I wonder why. I kind of want the light to follow the player around. But maybe its transform needs to be changed because transform from translation 550. What happens if I change that to something radically different? Like, well, first of all, if we give it an X component of 5, then change the others, or even just 10, 10, 10, just something really different. And I think we should start looking at ways to highlight where everything is on the screen for debug purposes. Because that's just guesswork at the moment. Well, that certainly didn't make any change. I'm surprised I can see anything at all. Which you would think if there was no point light, you wouldn't be able to, right? Like if I just remove this block entirely, will it just be black? No, but it's the same effect. Okay. So we'll remove this idea of making it the child. Maybe give it a Z of 5 as well, just to see what happens. Just want to see where it ends up. Teddy, you've got to stay there. I'm sorry that you're unhappy. Okay. All right. So, child of the camera doesn't work. Just out of curiosity, what would happen if you made the camera a child of the light? Child of the light. It sounds very cult-like, doesn't it? We're not a cult. Who told you that? I heard it. Oh, hang on. That kind of worked. But the light is not following it. So its transform does not update when the camera's transform updates. The camera's transform, however, is weird. It is no longer what I would expect. What? You are a cult? Okay. So that's 1 vote for, 1 vote against. Don't understand. How did I, how, why, how? Okay. Not, it's interesting that the light is visible this time and the camera works, but the camera's offset quite significantly from, because its transform will be relative to the parent transform. So if we say transform from translation vec30, it doesn't make sense for the camera to be relative to the light unless they're both in the same spot. Looking at vec30, vec3y, let's make this vec30. Oh, you don't like that? Oh, I see. So that it doesn't have any offset. Yeah, I know. He's cold. He wants to come and make a big wet puddle on the couch. Well, that's even weirder. Yeah, no, not a fan of that. All right. I'm getting too smart for my own good. You have a sword? How did that happen? I've missed so much. All right. Now, the with children thing is not working for me. So let's just back out of that. And we've got this approach of having the light basically have the same transform as the target, or same translation as the target. So when we do that, we do get a light that follows the thing around, but frustratingly, while you've got the movement keys depressed, it goes away. And it also looks, it kind of looks quite spooky, which I like, but it goes away and then it comes back again. Why? Why does it go away? What's happening? Travels in darkness, and then all of a sudden it's lit again. (2001) Cube Odyssey. Emphasis on the odd. We should make it a monolith, actually. You're right. Very good point. Just extrude it upwards in the Y direction. That sounds like something a 3D artist would say, right? They extrude things all the time. They're so extrude. Okay. So, why does it only show up? Face. How you doing, Fuzzy? Why does it only show up when you're not moving? First of all, this is one of these really annoying functions. Like, this is the orbit function. This is only, oh, it only shows up. Okay. So this doesn't even belong here. We were cheating really just to have the camera update itself, but we should move the point light stuff to movement. For a movement controller, mute transform is how we apply the movement. Then we could hack this to have a thing for the point light. Query mute transform with point light. Option player. Maybe player. If maybe player is some, let okay light transform equals light get single mute, else return. Can't wait for you to misspell it one day. Does my name show up in your overlay correctly? Oh my god. Wait a minute. Wait. Woods tones. What's going on? What's happening? I don't understand. Did it show up correctly though? Say something else. Music div. Yeah, it does. So it's using the right it's not using your login name, I guess. It's using your display name. One of these days I'll get emojis working in it. Okay, so yeah. So we've got light transform let light transform, oh no, not let, light transform translation. DAD. DAD. Equals player equals transform translation plus, I want to say vec3 5 5 because this is the offset that it already had. So just out of curiosity, let's see if we can get it to follow us around. And then we'll go back to this one and stop doing that. See what happens. I feel like see what happens is my middle name. What's the problem? Oh God. It's one of those. What is the problem? What? Apply movement is unhappy. Deeply, deeply unhappy. I assume I haven't imported something that I should have. But for some reason, Rust Analyzer doesn't want to tell me about it. Movement controller mute transform option player. Is it possible that we didn't import player? Ah, that will be why. Thanks, Rust Analyzer, for not helping at any point in any way. It's really nice of you. What? Oh, yeah, duh. It's only temporary anyway. Terrible Vimmer, by the way. Rust Analyzer would like to catch up. Well, sure, I'll do that. But only because it's you. No, stop. Disambiguation? Yeah. One of these days I will understand how to do this properly. I don't understand why. I think the correct way to do it would be to go without point light on this one. Although I don't understand why having, I mean, movement controller is the thing that distinguishes it because light doesn't have one. Maybe you're just supposed to do this. Do we actually use the movement controller? Oh, yeah. All right, well, let's try that. Let's try it. Let's give it a crack. Ugh. Nope. Conflicting queries. Is this the same file or is this another one? Yeah, apply movement. Consider using without. All right. I guarantee you there's a way to design these in a fashion that doesn't result in these problems. But I just want to see it working. Okay, so now we've got a normal looking point light. What happens when we move? The light doesn't go away and it follows the player around. Hooray. It's always in the same direction, but that's good. Yeah, I feel like always casting your shadow on the same side is kind of weird, but at least it works. It makes the shadow much too static. It's almost like it needs to orbit. But still a significant improvement. What I don't get is this, like it's a little jagged. I think the camera gradually catches up, but I'm not sure. Anyway, working as intended. You're a little jagged. I am a little jagged. I need more tea. Okay. Now. So we can move and we have the light that follows us around and a camera that follows us around. What about limiting the camera so that it can't do this? Because that seems like it breaks immersion in a big way. Yeah, that seems bad. Maybe we just, I guess that's the y-axis. Maybe we can limit that in some way. Let's see what we got going on in our orbit code. Orbit distance. Here we go. Pitch range. Limiting pitch stops some unexpected rotation past 90 degrees up or down. So what happens if we go frac pi, which is frac pi 2 is 90 degrees, right? Half of 180, I think. Oh no, it's half of pi, duh. What if we change this value to more like 0.1? How does that limit us? Let's try it. Nope. Does not help. I can also roll. I forgot about that. That's left and right mouse button. that's not disorienting at all. Not even a little bit. It's fine. You're upside down. Not me. Okay, but the pitch limit not working. So what happens if pitch limit's frac pi 2 minus 1.5. Where am I using that? Pitch range. Pitch range start, pitch range end, and we're clamping that. Okay. Let's output that. And we'll clamp it to that 0.5, which seems too high, but let's try it. Okay, well, the pitch is minus 44. And now it's positive, and positive pitch is not a good thing in this environment. So we need to change our pitch limiting. We want it to go to about there and probably not more than about there. So we've got to limit it quite aggressively. So that's minus 0.1 to minus 1. Okay. So frac pi 2 is, it's going to be 1. It's going to be 1.5 to minus 1.5. So minus 1.5 to 1.5. What if I say instead that I want minus 1 to minus 0.1? Does that even work? Ooh, no. This is not valid Rust. Oh, yeah. Rust Analyzer is not helping me at all today. Okay. Oh, yeah. It stops. And that's minus 1. Interesting. Can't seem to get it level though. Like the so-called skyline is not level. The horizon, if you will. Was I able to do it before? And how did I do that? Oh, I see. It changes depending on where you are on this. So we don't want to get people to get frustrated when they're trying to move around. I think the reason you see a curve like that is because it's so close to you. But it does feel like it's tilted. It's definitely tilted. I'm tilted. Okay, so I think pitch is right. Maybe roll. Oh, or maybe roll should be disabled entirely. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that seems like a good adjustment for pitch, and you can no longer make the required to stop the floor from disappearing. Or I guess to stop the camera sinking beneath the floor. What's wrong, Ted? You... Come and chill out, buddy. Good boy. Okay. So we're able to limit that. We should disable roll. So we're going to disable roll entirely. And then we'll just send roll back the way it came, basically. Send it back from whence it came. Okay. So we got movement. We're fine. We're fine. We can move. The point light follows us. And albeit in the same direction every time. It'd be kind of cool if the light, when you move, the light moves to the other side of you, kind of thing. So it's always behind you in the direction of movement, but because that would give more of a sense of movement, I feel, rather than always being on the right hand side of you, like some kind of omnipresent thing. But would that also mean that you would constantly be looking at the dark part of the cube? I don't know. Maybe we should find out. How do I position it? I guess always behind itself? No, because if you position the light between you and the cube, then the shadow is going to be thrown forward, which looks weird. You want the shadow to be away from the direction of movement. So when I start moving left now, the shadow should move around, but it doesn't, of course. So I want the shadow to let the light, I want the light to go in the direction of player movement, but faster than the player in a way, or slightly ahead of the player. I wonder if the light does actually need its own movement controller. I feel like we could do it without. That indeed. We just have to be a bit smarter about the modification to the offset. So that is in. We've fixed the roll. So this is all. Don't know what I changed in that. So we turned off. Turn off roll. Point light follows player. Okay, now in movement, yeah, so instead of just adding 5 every time, which is obviously not correct, maybe the velocity could give us some clues. The controller intent will help. So controller intent is a vec3. Can I somehow... The velocity is a max speed times intent. So we're multiplying the vec3 by 10. And then how do I make this subject to whatever the controller intent is? Could I not do like a magnifying effect by controller intent times 2 almost? It's just out of curiosity, see what that does. Well, it's beneath it again, which is not quite what we wanted. But it does swap sides, so that's kind of cool. That's a little bit more of what we wanted. And it's always facing away. It's kind of eerie, which I like. The hard edge beneath it looks a bit weird, but we can fix that. You just have to, I think, give it more, like instead of just 2, because it'll multiply all of the things, right? First of all, change it to 5 just to see what the difference is. It'll multiply all of the vec3, so not just, say, x and y. Okay, so that's further back, which is good, or further forward, depending on how you feel about it. It's kind of good when it's coming towards you. It definitely gives you more of a sense of movement. It's a little kind of jerky when you're just moving around in a circle, but that's just the way the movement works at the moment. And yeah, it's a bit unfortunate when it's not moving. It stops because control intent is 0, so it's directly underneath you. So instead of that, we'd probably want it to be overhead, I think. Although it is quite eerie, which is good because this is an Eldritch theme. It's an Eldritch cube. So how can we, instead of, we don't want to multiply the Z, I don't think. Well, it would be 5 by 0 if the Z axis was 0. So it would be 0, 1. What about just multiplying the X and Y? What effect would that have? think we'd want a default, like if controller intent was 0, we'd want to, I wonder if we could add something anyway, like +5 kind of thing. Just out of curiosity, just to offset it at all times. But that might be quite weird when it's not moving in the right direction. Weird can be good. Okay, so it's better at rest. It's not very good. It's good in some directions, but not in others. Yeah, no, that's not really a good thing. Okay. Surprising. Imagine these, how much difficulty it is to light some of these games. Mind you, they have UIs and tools for doing that, I suppose. Okay, so that's not a good solution. Actually, these are unnecessary. What about at rest? Does it need some kind of let mute light offset equals controller intent times 5. That could equal vec3 0. So if light offset vec3 0, I think it could equal 0. Light offset equals vec3. So it's sort of a default. 1, 1, maybe, I don't know, 6, 5, I guess. I'm curious to see what happens if you elevate the light. It'd be nice if it kind of smoothly transitioned into those. Oh, what did I do? I'm always doing that. Like if it kind of tweened itself. I don't know if that's even a word. Okay, so that's what it does at rest. All right. So it's always ahead rather than overhead. Which is, I think, what you'd rather have when you were stopped. You kind of want it to be above the cube, which I guess that's in Z-axis, right? I feel like I'm misunderstanding here. I think what we need is we need to be able to see the point light and the camera. So we need to be able to display those, like outline them. How do I do that without the physics engine? Because we don't have one yet. Because I know the physics plugin, dev plugin can highlight it various bits and pieces, but how do I show a little outline on the screen? I think it uses widgets. I think there's widgets. Bevy widget camera position. Show camera position. think we might be asking the robot this question. UI system, you think? Maybe. I think you're making it up. I really, really do. I think you're making it up. Um, Because I'd love to be able to just see where the light is and where the camera is. In fact, the other thing we could do is reinstall the ECS debugger thingy, whatever it's called. And then at least we'd be able to play with camera and light positions a little bit. So let's do that. That would at least be something. How do we do that? We do that using Bivy EGUI Inspector. Thank you, Jakob Hellerman. World Inspector plugin. Can I go add Bivy EGUI Inspector? Oh, whoops. Is it Inspector EGUI? God damn it. I wonder how many people have made that mistake. Okay. And then in lib, actually there's a debug. Isn't there a debug or DevTools? There it is. Debug UI plugin. UI debug options. Log screen state transitions. App. Add plugins. World Inspector plugin new. Okay. It's be getting close to cup of tea time again. Oh, that's right. You have to change the font and things to, or the scale. I'll do that in a sec. Okay, so we've got a camera. Unfortunately, this moves because the mouse is moving. But where's the point light? There it is. Global transform, transform. Okay, so currently it's at 1, 2.5, and 5. If I change the Z, oh, of course, because the mouse is moving, it keeps adjusting itself. That's interesting. I wonder why though, because I thought we took the point light movement stuff out. He's a miracle. Savior of the universe. Why is the point light changing position when the camera movement stuff kicks in? Maybe that's part of my problem. First of all, how do we make it bigger? Configuration. Ooh, pretty. Change the names. Change the type display. What I want is text size. I'm sure there's a way to do this. Or scale. Smaller fonts, decorations. Ah, yeah, here we go. Scale factor. So we don't want to make it smaller, that's for sure. Okay, cup of tea. But did you, is the question. Okay, now. Oh yes, EGUI settings comes out of there. Okay. So hopefully that'll give us a decent scale factor size. Now we need to find out why in camera the point light's position updates when the mouse moves. Or is it just the point light's position doesn't update, but the camera's position does? Those are the only mentions of the light. Is it possible we're accidentally changing it? Hmm. I don't think so. The light should have a fixed position, but we're updating the camera's translation. Ooh, doesn't like that. Rust Analyzer is having a really hard time today. It is actually only taking up 2.5 gig of RAM. It's not as bad as it normally is. Hmm. Why would moving the camera reset the translation on the point light? What was the error, by the way? Oh, EGUI settings is still not there? What? There we go. Nope, still bad. Still bad. It's an invalid resource. Really? Why? Do I have to init that resource? That was in 2021. Wait a minute. Is it still insert resource? I'm completely forgetting. That was a long time ago. Yeah, it is. But we don't init the resource. And there's remove resource. What is the problem here? Oh. Is that all? Still an invalid resource, huh? Am I using the wrong EGUI settings? That is definitely not a resource. Maybe it's changed. Maybe the way you do this has changed. It's a query. It's a component now. Huh. Is there any documentation for it? Different crate, huh? What's it in? Oh, it's an EGUI. Right. This doesn't seem. I swear I've had this working recently. Did they just change it? Meanwhile, the dog is basically chewing their hind leg. That's the charitable way of putting it. Did they just change this? Maybe there's a PR somewhere. Hmm. So it doesn't feel like you can set the scale factor the same way you used to be able to. It's a window scale factor times EGUI settings single scale factor. So they're now querying for it. You can't do that anymore. I wonder if you can just, maybe you can just insert it as a component. It doesn't say so. Um, but let's give it a go. Hit commands. EGUI settings. Scale factor 1.5. Seems kind of roundabout, but whatever. All right. See if it queries for it. Doesn't look like it does to me, to my eyes. Did that get bigger? I don't think it did. Let's try one more time just with a bigger one. Unless you have to use the version of it that's associated with, yeah, that didn't get bigger. The version of it that's associated with Inspector EGUI. This feels like a bug. Maybe there's a with EGUI settings or something like that. When did they change anything to do with EGUI settings? It queries for any EGUI settings in the set camera viewport. And that's the only place it uses it. Oh, and that's in the examples. Well, I guess in the meantime, I might just do a real quick Discord search. See if anybody else has seen this problem. Hmm. I wonder if it's because I'm doing this after we add the World Inspector plugin. What methods do we have in World Inspector plugin? Only show the UI if the specified condition is active. Build. Context. I don't know. Never mind, we'll just live with it. For now, at least. I'll ask someone, see if they know. Okay, so spawning just a random AGI settings does not work. Which is fair enough. Wouldn't really expect it to. And go back to figuring out whether we can move the point light or not. Also change its color. Ooh. Give it a green. Oh, so much more eldritch. Quite a good way of reflecting the health status. Okay, radius. Shadows enabled, yes. And transform is what we want. Oh, I don't think I was changing the transform of the point light. Maybe I was. If I change the translation to like 10, it just updates it back again instantaneously. Because why? I don't know. Yes, I do. It's doing it because we're not moving. If we were moving, it would be updating the position of, because we're not, it's forcing it to be that the whole time. So in order for us to stop doing that, in movement, just take this block out and then we can play. Okay, now it's stupid, but it'll work. So if we raise the y-axis, no, it's still forcing it to be the same. Right, because it's assigning it to, okay. All right, so in that case, we need to get even more medieval with it and just remove the whole thing. Okay, now, hopefully. Hooray, we can move it. So that gets it higher-ish. I really wish I could outline where it was. I'm going to find that out from someone on the Discord. Or maybe just read a bit about how widgets work. Maybe I can do it myself. Okay, so that's X, Y, and Z. So maybe kind of elevated a little bit, like 10. What about scaling it? No, it's not really useful. Okay, cool. So a little bit of Y elevation helps, I think, is the moral of that story. So instead of we'll return this and give its default position as something like 5, 10. And we can codify this somewhere as a constant. 5, 10, 0 maybe? I don't know. 5, 10, 5. Yeah, something like that. So what does that give us? Okay, reasonable. Slightly jarring, sudden transition of the light. It'd be great if we could move it slowly rather than flash it that way. How could we do that? We could give the light its own kind of velocity, I guess, so that it will gradually move towards the target position rather than starting to get into the territory where we need a physics engine. So maybe that's where I'll go for next time. And then give the light its own velocity relative to the player. Which kind of makes sense. It might be a bit smoother. Okay. That's good learning. We don't have to do everything today. We will wait, what? Point light movement. EGUI inspector. Then we'll push a tag. I think it's 1.9. Push origin tag v 0.1.9. Should start a build. And that'll just about do us, I think, for one of these days. You won't be making a tea. How dare you not do that? And let's see who is skulking around. Still probably Finn, right? Oh, Erin's skulking around. We will shout at Erin, but we'll raid back into Finn. Ah, he just shouted me back. Yes, we will. Thanks for hanging out on your Sunday. Finn's channel is intended for mature audiences. Just a heads up.
Huh. It says on what?
Catch us later.